Celtics wrapped up their extensive road trip with a dominant win over the Sacramento Kings last night. Tatum put up 36 while Jalen Brown added 27. Boston has done a good job keeping the young, talented core together so far after the 2024 season. Brown will become an unrestricted free agent and will be eligible for a super max deal. He discussed his future with the Celtics, telling the Ringer, quote, "I don't know. As long as I'm needed, it's not up to me. We'll see how they feel about me over time, and I feel about them over time. Hopefully, whatever it is, it makes sense, but I will stay where I'm wanted. I will stay where I'm needed and treated correct. I just enjoy the time that you have now. If it's your whole career, it's your whole career. If it's not, it's not. Some of the greatest players of all time haven't finished with their organization. Michael Jordan retired a Wizard." JJ?
Yes.
Which team is best set up for the next 5 years?
I want to start by just saying I don't think there's much to read into Jalen Brown's comments. I think this is a normal response to a question about his upcoming free agency. And he's right. If he's wanted, if he feels needed, if the Celtics give him the bag, I would expect him to re-sign with the Celtics. Boston is one of the teams that is set up really well. Assuming Jalen Brown is around over the next 5 years, this is a team that's set up really well. They have one of the most dynamic duos in the NBA, two great two-way wings that can create their own shot, tons of shooting on the roster. I think there's two teams that really stand out to me. Number one is Oklahoma City. And it's interesting because at the beginning of the year, ESPN did their power rankings, their future power rankings over the next 5 years. Oklahoma City was 23rd. But what has happened this year? Shea took another jump. Josh Giddey has improved. Jalen Williams looks like a future star and is making a late push for Rookie of the Year. And I think when you talk about the future of teams, which teams over the next 5 years, you don't just look at the players. You look at the front office, you look at ownership, and you look at the coaching staff. And for me, Oklahoma City has a great coach, a great front office. You have to factor that in. The other team, I might have had this team won, to be honest with you, a couple months ago. But the other team for me is the Memphis Grizzlies. They already have an all-NBA guard in Ja Morant. They have one of the greatest shooters in the NBA right now who also plays good defense in Desmond Bane. They have a unicorn in Jaren Jackson Jr., a guy that can guard multiple positions, defend the rim, and make threes. Taylor Jenkins is one of the best coaches in the NBA. And Zach Kleiman, one of the most underrated GMs. They also have their draft capital going forward. Those two teams to me seem like, and look, we can talk about Jokic in Denver and Boston and Cleveland's young core, but those two teams seem like the two best positioned teams over the next 5 years.
Well, I don't disagree with you on much. Let me first say, piggybacking off, I'll start off my comments with about Jalen Brown just the way that you did, from the standpoint that I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I would say keep my eyes on it because remember there was noise that the Brooklyn Nets were potentially interested in him and that Boston may have been interested in moving him to get Kevin Durant. We don't know if there's any residue of animosity or anything stemming from that. We've also heard that Jason Tatum, clearly the number one guy, the star of the team, even though Jalen Brown is right there. We've heard noise about as to whether or not that's something that Jalen Brown will want to continue to be a part of in the future. I have no idea whether that's true or not, but it is stuff that has been said in NBA circles, and sometimes that leads to movement taking place. So we got to keep our eyes on that, and we can't rule out. It might not be a big deal at all, or may very well end up being a bigger deal than we all suspected. That's all I have to say about that. As it pertains to over the next 5 years, Oklahoma City is definitely in the mix. Remember, they don't even have Chet Holmgren on the court yet. He got injured. He'll be back. Then you look at
I should have mentioned him.
Gilgeous-Alexander.
That's an oversight on my part. That's an oversight on my part. Thank you, Stephen A. You saved me there. No, you saved me there. Thank you.
No one's perfect. You're all right. It's okay. All right, so we got Oklahoma City. We got that going on. I'm definitely going to agree with you about Boston. I'm definitely going to agree with you about Memphis. But I'm not throwing Denver out of the mix. Jokic is only 27. Jamal Murray is only 25. Aaron Gordon is 27 years of age. When you look at their squad, Michael Porter Jr. is 24 years of age. Mike Malone is one hell of a coach. Organizationally, we've seen what they've done. They're a pretty damn good organization as well. And so you take all of those things into consideration, and you're led by the reigning two-time league MVP, who isn't even scratching 30 years of age yet, and he's one of the elders on the squad. I definitely believe that Denver has to be in the mix as it pertains to one of those teams to look at over the next 5 years.
Hey.
They've got to be thrown in there.
And I agree with you on that. And I think you could make an argument that Denver probably is as well positioned as any team. They could be the most well positioned team over the next 5 years. I totally agree with you, Stephen A.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.